Hello and welcome back to Let's Talk Whisky. Another new bottle this week, and it's something special, brand new release from Tomatin, and this is the Tomatin Sherry Collection, number 1 out of 3, and this is the Manzanilla finish. So what they've done is they've taken whisky and they've picked their region. So they've previously done the French collection, and they've also done the Italian collection. The Italian collection last year was amazing. The Barolo Marsala were the two standouts. I couldn't pick them apart, which was my favourite. So I'm really excited to try this. I think sherry has such a huge impact in the Scotch industry. So I'll try, whilst I'm talking and making an absolute mess of trying to get this off, because my excitement's taken over. Get this in the glass for a minute, and then we'll get into a little bit more about it itself. So as always, let's see, can we get a good pop? Yes. Oh wow. So this is a 2014 10-year-old Manzanilla sherry, about 46%, non-chill filtered and natural colour. 10 years old, but the sherry collection, they've not matured fully for 10 years within this is a Manzanilla. This has been 8 years in refill bourbon, and it's had a 2-year finish in Manzanilla. Manzanilla is like a Fino. It's made in San Lucia de Barrera, I think it is, Barramira, which is closer to the sea than Yerev actually is. So for Manzanilla, it has to be made in a specific region of itself. Fino, I think, can be made in other places. I might be slightly wrong with that. So it's a bit more secluded. The way they do it is aged for 2 years on a floor yeast, and it's like a kind of dry white wine. I've never had Manzanilla on its own. I've had some sherry. I've had some Pedro Jimenez before, which I absolutely love. But within the sherry trade, we've seen it slightly, or what you would think is maybe kind of drift away. But with tapas and all these other foods coming out now in Spain, it's sherry started to build back up. And as I say, I don't think Scotch would be an industry without it. There's so many needs for it as well. It's a fantastic thing. So they've got the sherry collection, the Manzanilla, they've got a 15-year-old Paulo Cortado, and they've also got a 17-year-old Pedro Jimenez. That's the 3 that's out. I will be reviewing these throughout the time here, maybe weekly, might do the next 2 on that. So Highland Whisky from Tomatin Distillery itself is in the Highlands, which is about 16 miles south of Inverness itself. So if you're travelling up from Glasgow, Edinburgh, and you're going up the A9, you have to go past Tomatin before you get to Inverness, just tucked away on the inside, and you always get a very warm welcome when you go to the distillery. And it's a nice wee tour as well. It's always, as I say, it's so welcoming. I absolutely love it. With this one here, there's 10,200 bottles made of the Manzanilla. I'll tell you about the price when we get to the end of it. Just looking at it straight away though, the colour, the pop was great, that kind of first initial smell. Fino can be quite dry in things at times, and I just didn't really get that. I think with Tomatin, it's back in the 60s, there was about 12 million litres a year. They were the biggest distillery in Scotland, and it was all about quantity. We've now turned back to quality, and really starting to see that over the last 20 odd years or so. I think that it's all about the cask involvement. How good can the cask be that they can get? And we're getting this. A really beautiful, the longest fermentation time in Scotch whisky as well, about 165 to 168 hours. Big steel washbacks to control that environment that they're getting in. It's amazing what they can do and how light of a spirit can be made, but still have such a massive impact. I enjoy the legacy. I think it's great value for money that you get. So we've got 8 years in a refill bourbon, and then 2 years finish in a Manzanilla cask. So I think we should get it on the nose. We'll dive back in a wee minute to some other things. I'm all tomatined out today, tomatin bottle, glass, and I've got my top on. I thought I would just go all out for this special release. So let's have a wee look at the legs on this. Give it a wee swirl in the glass. Yep, they're just starting, the legs are starting to come down now. That's 46%. Kind of thinking about, an aperitif after dinner, a sherry. This has kind of got that, what I would expect it to do, if that makes sense. just taking its time to come down. The colour of it is kind of straw. It's more on the golden side. It's quite light, but majority of that colour for me is going to be from the cask, or the Manzanilla cask itself. Wow, right. Everyone, hold on. So if you have pheno, there's a dryness there. There's this kind of soft nutty note. There's a little bit marzipan. There's a huge tropical top note. It's like an orange marmalade, Sevillian orange. So we're staying in Spain. We're at Jerez. We're in Sanlúcar de Barrameda. It's nutty, a little bit of toffee coming through, the light notes of the tomatin spirit in itself for that 8 years in the refill bourbon coming through. A little bit of marzipan, let's say marmalade orange. Other kind of lighter fruit notes as well. But not your sweet, not your citrus. It's marmalade. It's that it's a topping more than anything that I would get from it. The legs on it now. Jeez, look at that. Just from sitting chatting to you folks. It's just taking its time. It's a wonderful nose. It's a soft wooden note in there as well, just that little bit of torched wood, bringing that sweetness through again. Not overly sweet, slightly dry. Just a great nose, I'm enjoying that. Well, let's see what it's like on the palate. First impressions, first pour of the Tomatin Manzanilla 10-year-old 2014. Fun, folks. For 46%, it's a really good mouthfeel. It's slightly drying, it's what pheno does. Because that dry, it's the nuttiness is staying there. That little bit of marzipan staying there. Drying off the oak. There's that kind of the vanilla is coming through on that bourbon, that refill oak, definitely just in the tail end there. The full front, the frontal notes of the Manzanilla in the backdrop is that tomatin DNA, soft, light. Now there's a little bit of, it's like gooseberry, chopped gooseberry, a little bit of kiwi potentially, like, but it's that marmalade top. There's a freshness coming through, but that orange marmalade. I'll try another wee sip, then I'll put a tiny bit of water in. The ABV 46, that does not, for me, need water, but I think it's always good to try and just see what would happen with a little drop here to see if anything wants to develop. Kind of an oil pastel note to it, if you're painting, it's got an oiliness in it as well. That, it's orange marmalade, nutty, vanilla coming through, that little bit of wood, nice torched wood. That's really good. It's a style of whiskey I am not too familiar with from Manzanilla. Not at all. Yes, Sherry PX, I love my PXs. The second, I think, is a Paulo Cortado, which I'm really excited to try because I had a Paulo Cortado before and I absolutely loved it. I think this is going to develop into something even more special. I have really enjoyed that. And if that's only a 2 year finish for, we could potentially call this young whiskey 10 years old, right? But longevity, mouthfeel, nose, palate, finish, it's hitting all things. It's not a one dimensional whiskey. It's really open. It's enjoyable. This is a hot day summer garden drink, but it's also sitting by the fire in the winter drink. It's hitting both sides. If you're just new to whiskey, it'd be a good start if you love your whiskey. I think this has got so many different aspects going on, and that's something I enjoy in a whiskey. I like the creativity of what it can do in the palate, and this is what that's doing for me. It's dry. There's definitely a dry finish. I can feel that. I can taste it. It's enjoyable. I think when the distillery was bought over, or when it was about to go into liquidation, and Takara Shuzo took over in the 70s, and it's still going to this day, so many things have changed. It used to be the softer side of the Highlands, but it's now to what matters. And to what matters is cask selection, good whiskey, good quality, and how it's made. And Scott Adams and Graham Munson are just doing a superb, unbelievably good job now in keeping that the Tomatin brand growing. Bottle shape's good. I love the bottle. I love the back. It's got the etching in it. I think it's great. This is retailing about £65. It comes in a box as well. So, and it's got a little bit of information in the back. So, it's actually got tasting notes of sourdough bread, salted popcorn, dried fruits, chamomile tea, grapefruit, maple syrup, salted walnut in the palate with a slightly salted typical Manzanilla sherry with a warming brown butter. So, maybe not a million miles away from what I'm saying from my side, but I've enjoyed it, and I think that's all that matters. So, to what matters to me is I have enjoyed this whiskey. I'm definitely going to go and pour another wee dram and just sit down and get into this a little bit more. But if you've had this, or if it's something that you like, let me know in the comments below if this is a whiskey that you would get, or one that you already have as a Manzanilla cask, something that you've explored before. I'll go sit back, I'll finish the dregs in this, and I'll pour myself another one, because why not? But as always, join me next week and let's talk whiskey.